and common man and woman also wanted good, well-made clothing, and most of the things we buy today weren't even product categories a century ago.
That's true.
And that's, we are now pushing evolution forward. Biological evolution is not the cutting edge. It's really our technological evolution. And we've kind of taken over this driving force of the evolution of complexity. And it's human nature, but we've taken it over actually from this evolutionary process that created us.
Right.
So So Ray, do you have an inherent are you inherently an optimist?
I'm inherently an optimist.
Because of course
but I'm also
in
many ways the source of some of the pessimistic views, in that I've tried to articulate both the promise and the peril of these technologies. Technology does empower both,
mm-hmm.
And ultimately I'm optimistic, but I think we need to be very concerned about the downsides, and I do worry about them. If we take score right now, how have we done with technology? I think on balance we can say technology has helped us much more than it's hurt us. Very few people would want to go back 300 years to the short. Human life expectancy was 37 in 1800. Brutish, labor-filled, disaster-prone lives that people lived, that Thomas Hobbes described. On the other hand, it's been a very painful experience. We had 100 million people die in 2 world wars, and they were certainly made possible by technology,
mm-hmm.
airplanes and all kinds of things. I'm hopeful that we can avoid even the kind of pain we've suffered through in the 20th century, which is a pretty bloody century. But we're creating, far more powerful technologies, and a large part of what I'm writing in the next book is, in fact, how to manage the challenges of that kind of process. I am optimistic, but I'm not oblivious to the dangers.
And what about the observation and also the conviction that death is part of a process of regeneration, and it's through that process of death and rebirth that the very process you're speaking about happens, and that in some sense that wouldn't really be possible once the regenerative
religion
dimension is taken out of it.
Religion talks about transcending death, but it has a mystical answer to how that happens. But
right.
In fact, we find this transcendence in the real physical world. If we find transcendence in technology, if you put materials and energy in the right configurations, magical things happen. You get powers that go beyond the original materials. That's
true.
That's what excites me about being an inventor.
That's true.
And we will transcend death and that natural cycle. We're not just grapes on the vine.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true.
We are transcending that natural process that we emerged from. Yes, we come from nature, but we are going to transcend it through the power of our technology, which comes from our mind, made manifest in the real world.
I just wanted to, that's great. I just wanted to return a little to something that I asked a couple minutes ago, and just to get a little clearer, because when I was asking you about this sense that sort of I'm still imagining myself in my future self, my future immortal self, where I'm looking out at a sort of endless horizon for my own life and for human life in general, and through nanotech and biotech and all of the other revolutions, the energy revolutions, etc., now I have all of my needs met easily, and there's no longer any sort of natural stresses. I'm not afraid of death, and the sort of what would be called, like evolutionary biologists speak about evolutionary pressures, and stresses as the catalyst for ongoing development and evolution. Is your scenario that will no longer be necessary to propel us forward, and that there will just be a sort of upwelling creativity naturally in humans?
I think we largely see that. I mean, you see lots of people competing to create new businesses and new knowledge, and competing in the academic arenas and artistic arenas, and they're not propelled, to put the next meal on the table, by and large.
But aren't they propelled to define themselves because in the face of their mortality? They're propelled to make their mark because they're only going to be here for a limited time? That kind of thing?
I think, the evolutionary process still gives meaning to time because there's still competitive pressures, and time actually becomes increasingly valuable when things are moving more and more quickly. We're not only motivated because we're running out of time because we're going to die in a few years.
Mm-hmm. But it's a big motivation, though.
Uh-huh.
Well, we're going to transcend that. I mean, I think we've already sort of adopted the goals of evolution in our own, intellectual creations.
Why? Because we're consciously beginning to take on the process itself. Is that what you mean?
Right, and we don't need death to propel that forward.
Mm-hmm. So that really is an optimist, because your view of human nature is that even with all of our needs met, and even with our sort of permanent lifespan, that we'll be driven by something deeper and higher to go forward, right. And continue to grow.
We have a hierarchy of needs, and if you don't have air, then that's pretty much a need. But if you have air, then you worry about food, and if you have, that, you worry about shelter. But most of us have already moved on to worrying about, ego needs, and beyond that, there are then desires to, create meaningful knowledge and so on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Enjoyed the dialogue. Look forward to seeing it.